Welcome back. Today is March 1st, 2026. There's a lot of news to process today. Take a breath. We're going to look at the signals together and find the what you need to know. Think about the world waking up to the news that the Iranian supreme leader is gone. It wasn't just a rumor or a headline, it was a precise strike conducted by US and Israeli forces. Intelligence provided by the CIA reportedly allowed them to pinpoint a high-level gathering, and now Ayatollah Khamenei is dead. This isn't just the end of a leader, it's the decapitation of a regime that has defined regional politics for decades. The human ripple here is a sense of profound, terrifying uncertainty. In Tehran, the streets are likely a mix of shock and a chaotic race for succession. For the rest of the world, we are watching a nuclear threshold state suddenly become a giant power vacuum. When a central pillar like that falls, no one knows which way the debris will land. While the leadership in Tehran is in chaos, the response on the ground has been immediate and painful for us here at home. The Department of Defense has confirmed the first American combat casualties in this burgeoning conflict. These are our neighbors, our family members, killed during Iranian counterstrikes on U.S. positions across the Middle East. It's the news every military family wakes up dreading. Here is why this matters at your dinner table tonight. These deaths change the conversation from a distant strategic operation to a direct, emotional cost of war. It forces an immediate escalation. We are no longer just talking about signals and strikes. We are talking about the lives of our service members and a sharpening debate over what this war will truly cost us in blood and treasure. You might feel this conflict first at the gas pump or when you look at your heating bill. Global energy markets reacted violently to the strikes, with crude oil jumping 10% in a single day. Some analysts are warning that if this continues, we're looking at over $100 a barrel. Think about this for a second, that's not just a number on a screen. It's a massive, immediate tax on every American consumer. It drives up the cost of the gas you need to get to work, the cost of heating your home, and the price of every single item that gets delivered by a truck. It's a global energy shock that hits the most vulnerable families first. This economic pressure is being tightened by a literal chokehold on the world's trade. The Iranian Revolutionary Guard has declared that passage through the Strait of Hormuz is no longer allowed. This is the world's most critical oil choke point. A fifth of the world's oil flows through that narrow stretch of water. By effectively declaring a blockade, the IRGC is trying to paralyze global trade in retaliation for the strikes. The human ripple here is a potential catastrophic failure of global supply chains. We've seen what happens when shipping is delayed by a few days. Imagine a prolonged closure. It could lead to domestic energy shortages and a scarcity of goods that we haven't seen in our lifetime. The war felt thousands of miles away until yesterday, when it walked into a local bar in Austin, Texas. A mass shooting left 2 people dead and 14 injured. The FBI is now investigating this as a potential act of domestic terrorism because the shooter was reportedly wearing an Iranian flag. This is the nightmare scenario where a foreign conflict spills over into the American heartland. It turns our parks, our restaurants, and our bars into potential targets for asymmetric retaliation. It's a reminder that in a connected world, there is no such thing as a faraway war. The fear this creates in our own communities is a heavy burden to carry. Even the places that felt like safe havens for the global elite are being drawn into the fire. Iranian forces have launched strikes against Dubai and the U.S. Navy Fifth Fleet headquarters in Bahrain. For years, these hubs were seen as untouchable, gold-plated centers of military and financial power. That image is gone. The destabilization of the Persian Gulf threatens not just our naval assets, but the entire global financial system that relies on Middle Eastern capital. When the safe places aren't safe anymore, the world economy shakes, and the safety of our sailors abroad becomes even more precarious. There's a quiet shift happening in how these wars are actually fought, and it involves the technology we use every day. Reports suggest the Pentagon utilized the AI known as Claude to coordinate these strikes on Iran, bypassing an official administration ban on that specific technology. At the same time, OpenAI has formalized a partnership with the Department of War. Think about this for a second. we are seeing the total integration of private artificial intelligence into kinetic warfare. Decisions about targets and timing are being filtered through algorithms, regardless of official policy or civilian safety concerns. It's a new era of warfare where the lines between Silicon Valley and the front lines have completely vanished. While our eyes are fixed on the Middle East, other borders are fraying. In Mexico, authorities and U.S. assets successfully took down El Mencho, the leader of the Jalisco New Generation cartel. While it's a victory for law enforcement, the human ripple is often more violence, not less. The collapse of a major cartel leadership usually triggers a succession war among subfactions. This means more volatility and more bloodshed right on our southern border at a time when our military resources are being pulled elsewhere. And yet, some of the greatest threats to our safety are much smaller than a missile. The U.S. has surpassed 1,100 measles cases in just the first 2 months of this year. We are seeing a significant collapse in public health immunity that we've relied on for generations. Medical experts are warning that other eradicated diseases are threatening a comeback. This matters because it places a massive, preventable strain on our healthcare infrastructure. While we worry about foreign enemies, a lack of basic public health safety is threatening our children and our elderly right here in our own clinics and schools. Back in the Middle East, the question of what comes next is getting a very specific answer. Reza Pahlavi, the exiled crown prince of Iran, is making his pitch to lead the country. He's lobbying international officials to support a restoration of the monarchy or a transitional government. The U.S. is now facing a nation-building scenario. Do we support an exiled royal, or do we risk a prolonged, bloody civil war in a country that is still on the verge of having nuclear weapons? It's a choice that could tie us to the region for another generation. The escalation is not slowing down. Iran has successfully penetrated Israeli air defenses, striking the city of Beit Shemesh and causing civilian casualties. This marks a significant jump in their ability to hit deep within Israeli territory. As our primary ally moves to a total war footing, the human ripple is that the U.S. will likely be drawn even deeper into the conflict to provide support. It's a cycle of escalation that feels harder to break with every passing hour. The instability is spreading like a fever. Border tensions between Afghanistan and Pakistan have escalated into direct aerial combat. These are two nuclear-adjacent neighbors in Central Asia now trading fire. This complicates everything for U.S. logistics and creates a secondary front of global instability. It's a reminder that when one part of the world catches fire, the sparks fly much further than we expect. Despite the intensity of these operations, the support at home is remarkably low. New polling shows that only about 1 in 4 Americans supports the strikes on Iran. There is a massive, widening gap between the actions of the executive branch and the consent of the people. Most citizens believe a prolonged war is now inevitable, even if they don't want it. This suggests a period of significant domestic unrest and political volatility ahead. It's hard to lead a nation into war when the nation isn't following. This tension has reached a breaking point in Washington. A bipartisan group of lawmakers is attempting to reclaim war powers authorities to limit the scope of the operations in Iran. The administration says the mission is ahead of schedule, but Congress is pushing back. We are looking at a constitutional crisis over who has the right to wage war. This kind of paralysis at the federal level, during a time of active conflict, creates a sense of leadership vacuum right when we need clarity the most. Finally, look at the scenes at our consulates in Pakistan and Iraq. Pro-Iran protests have turned violent, with mobs attempting to storm American diplomatic missions and lives being lost in the chaos. This is the global ripple of our foreign policy. American diplomats and citizens traveling abroad are now under extreme threat. Large portions of the world are effectively closing off to U.S. influence, making the world feel like a much more hostile and smaller place for all of us. The news was heavy, but you are not carrying it alone. Stay connected. Stay present. We are right here with you. See you in the next brief.